Hello, good afternoon. This is David Soto talking to you, and today I want to go over my perfect entry method, and I want to explain exactly how it works and how you can utilize this to maximize your profits in Forex trading. Okay, so to begin with, we need to pick a chart. Okay, pick any chart you want, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick here US dollar Swiss franc, and we're going to load my Excalibur Trend Indicator on this so we can mark our trends, right? And what we want to do is we're going to start with the higher time frames. Okay, we're going to start with the weekly. Okay, I do not want to start with the monthly because it's a little bit too broad, but I want to start with the weekly chart and then work our way down to all the way down to the 1 minute, to smaller time frames. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to mark all of our support and resistances on the higher time frames and then compare that to the smaller time frames, and we'll be able to pinpoint exactly where we want to enter our trades. Okay, so to start here, let's go to the weekly chart, and we notice here we have a red arrow and a blue arrow, right? So currently we're in an uptrend, technically. Even though the price shot up and came back down, now it's been ranging sideways. But what we can notate is that for the resistance, we have a downtrend right here. Okay, we have our resistance right here marked. Okay, this is not perfect, but pretty close, right? We have all these high points marked. So that marks our resistance coming down. And then we also have a support right here. And we mark these points right here. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little better. But so what we need to do is we need to mark our support and resistance on the weekly chart. And you can see the price has definitely hit this support and is bouncing up now. So that's very good. So we can guess that yes, this will be going up. It will be hitting this trend line right here, but that's going to take some time. Okay, it definitely take a few weeks, maybe even a few months before that actually happens. Okay, so do not expect this to shoot up all of a sudden. If you wanted, you could place a buy trade right now and just hold it for long term, but I would not recommend that simply because you would have a lot of swap fees incurred along the way. Okay, so now we have that marked on the higher time frames. Let's drop down to the daily. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So basically we have the same exact thing as we do on the weekly. It doesn't change too much. If we go to the 4 hour and I zoom out a little bit, we're going to see a lot more red and blue arrows. Okay, we're going to get a little more finite picture of what's going on in the market. Again, we see our support and resistance that we marked earlier, but we also can see that we have support and resistances within, okay, in the smaller time frames. So we have, like I said, we have a lot more red and blue arrows. We can mark our resistance right here, coming from this point down like this, okay? And we have this point and these points right here that match up perfect. So this will mark, can't draw, but this will mark our resistance coming down. Okay, so this is excellent, and what we want to do is wait for the price to break above this and then buy, and wait for the price to reach this level, okay, this resistance. So if this resistance is broken, it's going to go up to this resistance, okay, just like in an elevator. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Now this is going to take some time. Okay, this is a 4 hour chart. It could take a few days, maybe even another week before that happens, because price will go up, touch this trend line, come back down, hit the support again, and then bounce up and eventually break this trend line. Okay, it's not going to just shoot up right now and break, I guarantee it. It's going to hit that resistance and come back down again. So we're looking at least another week or so before it actually breaks and you can buy. So anyhow, let's drop down to the 1 hour chart and see a little bit clearer picture. Okay, now on the 1 hour chart we have a lot more red and blue arrows to mark our support and resistances. And what we can also notate here is that we have more trend lines. And if we look here, we have a trend line coming down like this. Okay, this is not going to be perfect, but close enough. Okay, and what we want to do is we have those 2 points right there. We want to wait for this trend line to break and then buy, and then once this trend line breaks, it's going to go to this trend line, and then once this trend line breaks, it's going to go to the next trend line. Okay, so you have resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay, as you get smaller and smaller on the time frames. Okay, also, it doesn't really matter. We could drop down to a 30-minute chart and get a little bit clearer picture. It's pretty much the exact same thing, right? But we also notate that we have a support. Okay, we have a resistance marked here, but we also have a support going up, which is our trend line like this. Okay, you notice here that this is our support going up. Right now, according to the 30-minute chart, we have a red arrow. So we can expect the price to drop and touch that trend line and go up even higher. Okay, that is what we're expecting. Now, according to the 1 hour and 4 hour, it's going up. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go down to the smaller time frames. Okay, the 30-minute is showing to go down, but the higher time frames, the 1 hour and 4 hours, still showing to go up. So we can expect this to drop some, but then shoot up even higher. Now let's drop down to the 15-minute, right? 15-minute chart, we still have basically the exact same setup as we already saw right here. Just a little bit clearer picture, okay? Now, we can also notate, look at this. We can see that we have a uptrend right here. And these trend lines are all getting into one another. But basically, we have a support right here going up. Okay? And what we're looking for is for that support to break and then sell. Okay? So now, previously on the higher time frames, all I kept saying was wait to buy. Now I'm saying if this breaks, we can sell, and the price is going to drop and touch this support line and bounce up even higher. Okay, that's what I'm expecting. And if we get the crosshairs, look at this. Let's say it's going to break right about here. I don't know. If we drop down to here, that's 128 points, 130 points. So we could easily get a 50 pip take profit. Okay, very, very easy. 50 pips or points, depending on your broker, but get a very small take profit. But this would be like scalping. Okay, and that's okay. You know, get in and get out, get a little bit of profit. That way you don't have trades open for a long period of time. And then when it hits this trend line here, wait for it to either break or shoot back up. Since the 1 hour and 4 hour is showing to go up, keep that in mind. We're not looking for this to drop too much. Okay, we're looking for this to drop, touch this support line right here, and then go up even more. Now let's drop down to the 5-minute chart and see what we can see here. Again, we see pretty much the exact same thing, just a little more finite, a little bit clearer picture. Okay, right? So that's okay. And then we don't expect too much of a difference here. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see. And again, we're waiting for that to break. And then what I would do, honestly, is I would close when I get another blue arrow on the 5-minute chart. Okay. Now let's drop down to the 1-minute chart and see if we can see anything, you know, a little clearer picture. Okay. Now we drop down to the 1 minute. We have a lot more red and blue arrows. Okay. We see exactly what's going on. If I resize the chart, again, we get a really, really clear picture of what the market is doing right now. So we have this support right here. We can mark that, and where this trend line and that, I call that X marks the spot, and that is pretty much where we are looking for this to break. Okay, now what I want to do is on the 1 minute chart here, I want to wait until I got about 3 or so candles to break up below. We should see one candle come down and shoot back up, and then hopefully the third candle will shoot back down. We don't know. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Here's that trend line, okay? Well, now we're waiting for this to drop down and then shoot back up, okay? This is going to take some time, but basically, if I want to wait forever, but basically what we want to do, you see it's already hitting that support and going back up. So what we want to do is wait for this trend line to break and then sell, okay? And then now we cannot drop it down any lower, but I will go back up to the 5-minute chart like this, and I would wait for the blue arrow to form on the 5-minute chart, okay? And then once you get the blue arrow, close the trade, and then if we notice here, watch this, let me zoom in a bit, we have a downtrend forming. And this is a little bit too early to determine, but if we see right here, we have like a resistance forming right here, okay, like that. But what we're doing, we want to wait for this blue arrow to form on the 5-minute chart, okay? Once that blue arrow is formed, then we can draw a more accurate trend line coming down right here. And then when the blue arrow forms, wherever the blue arrow forms, we will see a perfect trend line right here, okay? And then we can wait for that trend line to break and buy, okay? I hope that makes sense. So we repeat this process all day long, okay? Doesn't matter what chart you use, it's the same scenario, okay? Now I'm going to do one more chart just to give you an idea how this works, and then I will conclude my video. But basically that's all we do here for the US dollar Swiss franc. Let's look at let's look at Euro USD, okay? This is probably the most popular one to trade, right? And open the chart. Let's look at the weekly. Let's go to Excalibur Trend Indicator. I'm going to go through this real quick so I don't bore you to death, but basically here we're going to identify our resistance coming down like that. We have this high point here and we have a high point here. So we have a blue arrow right now on the weekly chart, so we can expect the price to go up and touch this trend line, okay? You could buy right now and just hold for a few more weeks and it would most definitely work. But you know, like I said, we want to try to avoid swap fees long term. So we also have a support right here going up like that, okay? And you can zoom in a little bit, you can see that better, right? So the price might shoot down and touch this trend line and go back up again. We don't know, okay? So that's the only problem with buying right now. If you buy right now, there's a strong chance it could drop back down and eventually go back up, okay? So I probably would not try to buy right now. Let's look at the daily chart real quick. Again, pretty much see the same scenario, right? But a little more clear, a little more detailed, and I can adjust these trend lines like that, okay? So maybe this price will drop, we don't know, but it still has a blue arrow and it's still in an uptrend according to the daily chart. So do keep that in mind. The long-term trend here is bullish. So if we go to the smaller time frames, really want to try to look for buy opportunities on the smaller time frames. Now let's look at the 4-hour chart, okay? 4-hour chart now is showing the sell. So now we have a different picture. We have a lot more red and blue arrows, as I've said before. So now it looks like we struck some pretty strong resistance, and the question is it going to shoot back down or is it going to keep going up? Well, if we zoom in a bit, we see that it's already came in 2 candles ago, this arrow. It has not repainted. So it's already starting to drop. So we can expect this to drop a ways before it goes back up. So definitely I would not buy right now. Okay? But we did not see that on the daily and weekly, right? So now it's going to be dropping. Okay? And what we can do is we can mark a support line coming up like this to the arrow. But let me drop down to a 1 hour chart so you can see this a little clearer. Okay? Like that. So now we can mark our support coming up. I'm just going to draw from here like that. Okay. That's easy enough. And what we are waiting for here in this particular situation, we're waiting for this to break on the 1 hour about 3 candles below and then sell. Okay. And when that happens, we could definitely wait, hold this until we get a blue arrow. I don't necessarily recommend that simply because you could be open, you could have a trade open for, a long time, at least several days. So again, we want to get in and out of these trades as quickly as possible. Okay. Now that definitely can work. It's not a problem, but let's drop down to the smaller time frames and see if we can get anything else in our minds here. Okay, so we still see on the 30-minute chart, we still see that same support line. We drop down to a 15-minute, we still see the same support line basically. And we drop down to a 5-minute. Oh, now we have a blue arrow. And what we can do here is draw a trend line like this coming down. Okay. And what we're looking for is for this one to break and then buy. Okay. Possibly. We don't know. Like I said, the 1 hour and 4 hour showed a sell. So really we don't want to buy. Okay. We go down to the 1 minute. Again, we see this resistance hitting right here. We can get a really clear picture of what's going on. So we have a lot more red and blue arrows, obviously. But we have a red over here, a blue now, and it's coming back up to the same level of resistance right here. We can mark this right here, okay? And what we're going to do is wait for this to drop below this trend line, and then we can sell. Okay, right now I would not sell because it's shooting up, but we could actually, technically, we could get some profit as this drops back down, because like I said, the 30-minute and the 15-minute show to go down. So what we can expect is the price to drop and touch this trend line and form a blue arrow. Okay, 5 minutes already done that, but the 15-minute and 30 minutes have not. Okay, as a matter of fact, the 30-minute has 2 red arrows and no blue arrow. So I have a strong feeling this is going to break this trend line and it's going to drop even further. Okay, now like I said, the 4 hour, 1 hour all show to go down. I want to double check everything. So the 30-minute is showing to go down. 15-minute shows to go down. So the higher time frames are all stronger than the smaller time frames. Okay, so the 5-minute has an up arrow now. It would be nice if this forms a red arrow, but we don't know. The 1 minute already has a red arrow, but what I want to do is, if I sold right now, there's a strong chance it could shoot up even more. So what I want to do is wait for this to drop below, and then I can place a sell trade. Okay, I probably could sell right now, but you would turn one-click trading on here to buy or sell and just get ready. Okay, it looks like it's starting to drop, right? I'm going to place a couple of sell trades just to kind of show you what's possible. Okay. Now this is I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna wait here for a few minutes and see exactly what happens. But basically, we know that, like I said, the 30-minute, 1 hour, 15-minute all show the sell. So the price already spiked up and it should be coming back down now. And let me pause the video, and I'm gonna come back to you in just a few minutes. Okay. Okay, I want to come back to you real quick, and I want to point out that it's been about maybe 10 minutes, but the indicator first had a red arrow here, or approximately, and I sold, and then not long after it shot back up again. Okay, and that's fine. What I was lacking is I did not have a red arrow on the 5-minute chart, but now it has shot up, formed a red arrow, and now all the time frames are showing the sell. Okay, the 4 hour, 1 hour, and 30-minute, and 15-minute, and 5-minute, and even the 1 minute. Okay, all the time frames are showing the sell right now. So now would be an optimal time to place your sell trade. Okay, but I've already got a few trades open, so I don't recommend keep throwing more and more trades at it. Okay, yes, you can definitely catch some pips right now. I'm going to go ahead and just leave these trades open because eventually they are going to drop, so I'm not worried about that. What I'm looking for is a 30-minute or even a 1 hour chart. What I would like to do is close the trade when I get an opposite blue arrow. Okay, maybe even a 15-minute chart should be okay. Okay, if I get a blue arrow on the 15-minute chart, I can close it, take my profit, and I don't know how much I would get. Let's just say, for example, this is a resistance here, okay, that broke and formed a support. So we're looking for the price to drop back down to that support, potentially, okay? And we're right here at this point already. So we drop down to here using the crosshairs. That's about a 500 pip or point drop, okay? That's going to give us a really, really nice profit, okay? So essentially that is what we're looking for, okay, when we trade in this method, okay? We're looking for the higher time frames, the 4 hour, 1 hour, all this to match up with the smaller time frames. Now, if we look at the daily and weekly, like I showed you before, those all show to go up, okay? Now, yes, long term this will be going up, okay, most definitely, okay? Now, you see here on the daily chart, we had the price go up and back down numerous times, and it's going to happen again before we ever see another red arrow. Okay, so I would not place a buy trade right now on the daily chart, simply because if you place the buy trade right now, price is going to drop a ways. Okay, it could drop even 1,000 points, we don't know, before it goes back up. So I would not recommend placing a buy trade right now. Like I said, the daily and weekly are just a little too broad, and the only thing we're trying to do here on the daily and weekly is to get our larger support and resistances, or larger trend lines, so we can gauge what the market is doing. Okay, and then we break it down to the smaller time frames, and we find all of our support and resistance lines on the smaller time frames. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Please hit me up on Facebook if you have any questions or comments about this strategy, this method. It takes some practice. Okay, you're not going to just get this in one try. Okay, it takes some time. I've had to perfect this over time myself, so do not expect to just bam turn this on and start making money. So please give yourself a month or two to really examine this, practice every day, get good with this, and then once you master this strategy, then you can apply it to your live account and start making some real money. Okay, so anyhow, there's a link below in the description of the video for my personal Facebook. I prefer that you please contact me there first. Also, there's a link for my private Facebook group, and you can post any questions or comments in my Facebook group. This way, myself or other traders, we can all assist you and we can all collaborate as a team. Okay, that's my whole purpose of having this Facebook group. So with that said, thank you. Let me know how I can help you, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.